Most church leaders are drowning in a sea of applications to run their ministry. They're using tools for online giving, child check-in, accounting, sending out mass emails or text messages, and everything else in between. The problem with using all these different applications is it gets really confusing and the cost starts to add up. At ChurchTrac, our all-in-one software has all the tools that your ministry needs built right in to simplify your ministry and save you a lot of money. And today, we're going to walk through all of the core features of ChurchTrac and give you a good understanding of what the software can do and how to use it. Now, if you ever need help, I encourage you to check out our online user guide. You can find it by clicking that green help button on the top right corner of your screen. And we also have a fantastic YouTube channel and a ChurchTrac user group on Facebook. Let's get started. So to log into ChurchTrac, go to www.churchtrac.com, and from there you will click the login button at the top right. Here you'll go ahead and put in your credentials and sign in to ChurchTrac. Now, one thing worth noting, ChurchTrac is responsive, so it looks really great on computers, tablets, and cell phones. ChurchTrac is organized into 8 different sections of the software. The first section is the home screen and dashboard, your people screen and families, the events and attendance, worship and scheduling, giving and pledges, accounting and budgets, Church Connect, and settings. So first things first, when it comes to getting your people data into ChurchTrac, there's a few different ways you can do it, and we make it really easy. The first way is to have us do it for you. To do that, you can click that green help button and then select Ask Us a Question to open up a support ticket. Now from here, you can either provide us with the credentials of the other church management software that you're moving over from, and our team can actually log in and try to get all of that data out of there for you into ChurchTrac. And then the other way is to submit to us a support ticket with an attachment that has all of your people data on like a CSV file or a spreadsheet, and that way our team can go ahead and start that import process for you. And just an FYI, this whole process costs nothing. We don't charge anything for doing a data import, so I encourage you to reach out to our team and have them take care of that for you. Now, the second way that you can add your people data into ChurchTrac is to add them in manually through the people screen. Let me show you how to do that. Go to the people family screen, and then on the bottom left of the software, you'll see this add button. When you click that add button, you can begin typing out the information for a person or for an entire family. You can add multiple people at the same time. You can select the member status that you would like to select for them, and any other information such as their email address or phone number or any other user-defined fields that you have possibly created. So one thing I always recommend when you're getting started with ChurchTrac is to go over to the settings screen. And if you have not already, go to the admin settings and upload your church's logo. This logo will appear not only on your contribution statements, but Church Connect as well. Go ahead and put in your church's phone number and church address as well, as there are some reports that will apply to that too. Now, Church Connect works best when you get your whole team involved. So encourage your team members to join along and add user accounts for each one of them. When adding your user accounts, you can also set up different permissions for what a person can and cannot have access to. Just to give you a good example, I'm a worship leader, so I probably don't need to have access to giving information or the accounting screen. Likewise, maybe you have someone who is just handling the finances of your church. Well, then you can give them access to giving and accounting, but then maybe uncheck worship planning and events and maybe the people screen. And so we give you a lot of customization when it comes to determining what people can and cannot have access to in the software. Now, because ChurchTrac is an all-in-one platform, we have designed it in a way to where you can access different parts of the software by using that toolbar on the left to go to different screens. Now, I always recommend focusing on one feature at a time and then getting really good with it and then moving along to the next feature that you wish to learn. Now, let's talk about the home screen. The home screen is where you'll find your dashboard, your message inbox, upcoming events, projects and tasks, and any reminders that you may have. Now, the dashboard is great because it gives you a bird's eye view of the important things that are happening at your church, and you can even have different graphs that show information such as giving or maybe attendance. One of my favorite features on the dashboard is the messaging tab, because from here I can send and receive text messages with my church members, and I can even set up auto replies. So if someone texts something like maybe serve to my church, our system will automatically give them information of how to get plugged in with our church. Now, the people screen is where you can find your database of all of your people. Whenever you're looking at the people screen and you select an individual, you can see their details, such as their member status or maybe their birthday or age category. And you can also view any notes that a person may have on themselves or their family in this case. You can also see the tags that are associated with that person, so you know how they're plugged into your church. And you can see their giving records if you have access to their giving records, and any processes that have been started for that person. So tags in ChurchTrac are used for a lot of different things. First and foremost, they're used for organizing your people into different groups, such as discipleship groups, or maybe your worship team, where you have different people that have different roles within the worship team. But you're going to also be using these tags for scheduling people, as well as tracking their attendance. So go ahead, get with your team, and start thinking through some of the tags that you'd want to use in your database. Another great feature built into ChurchTrac is the Reports tab. With reports, you can generate reports for all sorts of things, whether it be just an individual list of everyone that is in your church, or maybe an interactive map that shows where everybody is located in your city in comparison to where your church is at, or you can even use a member directory that's built in. We also have custom reports, so if you find that there is a situation where you need a very specific type of report, you can build that report and either view it or export it to a CSV. When it comes to communicating with your people, we've made it really easy in ChurchTrac. On the messaging tab, you can send out emails to your people. You can also record voice messages. You can send out text messages. You can even print out form letters. And we have a MailChimp integration where you can export your list of your people out to MailChimp as well. One of my favorite features in the messaging tab is definitely text messaging. With texting with Twilio, I can send out mass text messages to my people for less than a penny per text message. And what's even better is when I send out a text message, I can schedule that text message to send out at a later time at a specific day and time. Question: does your church have a process in place for when someone wants to join your church or maybe become a new member? With ChurchTrac processes, you can create a process for basically anything. And for example, I have an automated follow-up that when I start this process, the system will automatically send an email, it'll tag them, it'll update their contact info, record a note in their profile, and so much more in just a couple mouse clicks. This will save you a lot of time when it comes to managing your database and keeping track of all of your people. In the events and attendance screen, you can create calendars, you can keep track of attendance, you can generate reports, and so much more. So did you know that ChurchTrac has Child Check-In built right into it? Let me show you what it looks like. So in the check-in kiosk, I can search a parent or a guardian by entering their phone number, or I can just search their name. So I'll search their name. And here I have 2 children that I can go ahead and check in to our children's ministry. Now, before I check in a child, I can also edit that child and go ahead and type in any allergies or medical issues that a child may have. And I can also put some special notes or instructions for that child and an emergency contact number, which is super important to have. And so the process of printing out those labels is I select each child that I want to check in, and so that way the system checks them in. And then I can go ahead and print out those labels for the child. And ChurchTrac works with a multitude of different label printers. I encourage you to check out our online user guide to learn more of how to set up your printer. Now, if you're needing to track attendance in a way that doesn't require the security of Child Check-In, we also give you the option to do live mode. With live mode, you can just select the people that are present for an attendance event. If you are in a situation where you're wanting to track attendance, but maybe you don't have an internet connection at the place you're at, or you're just wanting to keep things simple with just like a simple roll sheet, well then ChurchTrac gives you the ability to print out roll sheets as well. Now the whole point of tracking attendance is so that way we know who is there and who is not there, or if we're just trying to report to our denomination perhaps. And so on the Reports tab, this is where I can generate attendance averages or a standard attendance report, or I can even get a detailed attendance report. Probably one of my favorites though is the absentee report, where I can go ahead and generate a report of everyone that wasn't at a particular event during a certain time period. This is really great to see people who maybe haven't come to church or maybe haven't come to Sunday school or discipleship group in a certain time. And so that way I can go ahead and reach out to them. You can even show them on the people screen so you could send a quick text or maybe an email to them. We see so many churches using multiple applications to schedule their different teams. So you have the worship leader using this one application, but then you have the children's ministry using this. And the problem with that is you run the risk of accidentally double booking people that serve in both ministries. And so ChurchTrac is one of the few church softwares available that gives you the ability to schedule your volunteers for everybody at your church and plan your worship services with our worship planning tools. Now, let me show you what it looks like. So on the worship and scheduling screen, I can select a worship service and see the entire worship outline. I can easily move songs and service elements around in the service, as well as add any special notes or instructions, or maybe put how long a certain element is supposed to last in the time area. You also have different song resources as well, where you can attach chord charts, links to maybe like a YouTube video, or just link to a particular song MP3 file perhaps. Now, when it comes to scheduling your people in ChurchTrac, this goes way beyond the worship team. You can schedule everybody in every ministry. So here I have my worship team, my AV team, but then I also have the welcome team and the children's ministry all in one service here. Now, depending on how your church likes to organize things, you can create multiple services for different ministries. It just comes down to how you want to work things in the software. As you would expect in a worship planning software, ChurchTrac has a vast song library where you can go ahead and add your songs either manually or you can import directly from SongSelect if you have a SongSelect account. Probably one of my favorite features is the report button. When I click that, I can go ahead and generate a song usage report for all the songs that I've done between a specific date period. This is really great for when I need to report to CCLI, as well as it just helps me as a worship leader not accidentally do the same song over and over again every single month. Now, the giving screen is the place where you will track all of your donations, as well as create pledge campaigns and generate your contribution statements. Let's talk about it. So on the contributions, I can add a batch giving date, and let's just go ahead and pick today. And then from there, I can click the Enter Contributions button on the top right. From here, I can start entering the name of the individual that I want to record contributions for. We'll say Jamie. And Jamie donated $150 to our church, to the general offerings. And I'll say that she gave with a check, and that check number was 9684. And then click Add this contribution. And so that's how you add contributions in ChurchTrac. Now, if you are in a situation where you're using another online giving provider, or you have a large Excel sheet of a lot of data that you want to put into ChurchTrac, you can click this Import button on the bottom right of the screen. When you select that button, you can go ahead and choose which type of import you want to use or what provider you are importing from. We already work with Givelify, PayPal, and a few others. But if you do have an Excel sheet, you can actually manually import a CSV file into ChurchTrac. Just make sure you follow our instructions so that way it works properly. Now, when it comes to generating contribution statements, ChurchTrac has made it very simple. To generate a contribution statement, you just pick your start date. So we'll say January 1st. And then you select your end date. So we'll say December 31st. And the contribution statement is the first report that's already selected. You can print out a report for every single family or every single individual. And then from there, you select Generate Report, and ChurchTrac will automatically generate every single contribution statement for every single person that's donated to your church. One thing worth pointing out is ChurchTrac does handle pledge campaigns as well. You can create a pledge campaign by clicking that pledge campaign tab. So when it comes to accepting donations online for your ministry, ChurchTrac has you covered with ChurchTrac Online Giving. Through our integration with Stripe, your church can easily accept donations online via credit card as well as ACH in North America. Now, giving is one thing, but ChurchTrac also has the tools available for you to keep track of all of your expenses and your income and all of your funds for your church. And ChurchTrac is a true fund accounting program made for church leaders by church leaders. You can easily enter memorized transactions from payees that automatically pull from the right category and fund. So I'll select Budget Communications here, and it automatically pulls from my utilities telephone category and the general fund with the previous amount that I used last time. So quick question for you. Have you ever had a situation where you were trying to find a receipt in a pile of a bunch of receipts and it took you forever to find it? Not anymore with ChurchTrac. Say hello to transaction attachments. You can attach a file to that transaction, and so that way you always have that receipt or invoice to that specific transaction in ChurchTrac. Need to print out checks for your ministry? ChurchTrac can do that too. Just select Print Checks and check off the checks that you wish to print out for your ministry. Want to import transactions directly from your bank? ChurchTrac can do that as well. Click the Import button, and then you can drag and drop your bank statement directly from your bank into ChurchTrac. Need to create a budget for your ministry? ChurchTrac makes it very simple to create a budget for your ministry or multiple ministries in just a few minutes. Now, when it comes to reports, ChurchTrac is built in with over a dozen different reports, many of which you can export to CSV to view on your favorite spreadsheet if needed. Just a quick FYI, if you are used to using a profit and loss statement, the income statement on ChurchTrac is probably the best apples to apples comparison for you. So this all brings me to our last and probably biggest feature in ChurchTrac called Church Connect. Now, Church Connect is a website, it is a church app, and it is a portal for your people, all wrapped into one easy-to-use platform. Let me show you what it looks like. So here I have Church Connect pulled up on my cell phone. From here, people can do things like submit a form. So in this case, I have an online connection form that people can fill out. I've also given my people the ability to listen to our podcast online through this link card, where if someone clicks that, it takes them right to our iTunes podcast. We also have online giving built right into Church Connect, where people can give with credit card as well as ACH. And probably one of my favorite features is whenever church people select the menu on the top left, they can look at their giving history right from Church Connect at any time. They can also update their member profile as well. If they want to view any upcoming events, they select the Upcoming Events tab, and they can see any events that are coming up at our church, as well as enter attendance if they're a discipleship group leader or maybe a Sunday school teacher. So when it comes to church websites, we find that churches usually fall into one of three different camps. The first camp being that they don't have a website. The second camp being that they have a website, but it's slow, or maybe it's not responsive, or maybe it's just hard to keep updated, or maybe it's just expensive. And then the third camp is churches that have a website and they love it and it looks great. No matter which camp you fall into, Church Connect is a great solution for you. So if you don't have a website for your church, you can use Church Connect as your church website. Likewise, if you have a great website that's already existing, then you can pair it with your existing website and use Church Connect as more of a member portal and an app for your church. When it comes to sharing your Church Connect site, you can share your Church Connect URL, which you can customize if you have not already. And we also provide you a QR code that you can download and put on the back of the pews or the back of the chairs, or maybe put it on your screen or in the church bulletin. And that's Church Connect. So there you have it. Those are many of the core features in ChurchTrac. The next step here is to go ahead and add your people if you've not already. Maybe go ahead and get familiar with tags, create additional user accounts for your team so they can take advantage of these features in ChurchTrac, and then the rest is up to you. And as you go through the software, don't hesitate to reach out to our support team by clicking that green help button on the top right. And you can also check out our YouTube channel and our very active Facebook group.